Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lion's Den. I'm your homeboy, Seth. And what's up, Herm?
What's
What it do?
happening?
How you feel?
What's up, man? I'm all right.
You
You
sure?
know me, feeling good. You know what I'm saying?
Feeling great?
I think I'm still within my half of the month for Black History Month.
Half of it. That's
Yeah.
right.
This is my last day, ain't it? Somebody told me it's my last day.
Okay, so what you gonna do with the rest of the month?
I don't know, man. Probably just lay around and chill, I guess.
That's so
You know what I
stupid.
mean?
Hey, everybody, check this out. Look, if this your first time tuning in, regardless of what he talking about, y'all listen. We focus on all things leadership, growth, and development from the household to out in the community. And today is going to be an outstanding conversation, y'all. Outstanding conversation. Now, what you think about this, bro? What outside of that, how's your week been, bro? How's your week been?
Man, my week, man. You know what? I actually went through a crisis intervention training this week,
Okay.
held by the police department, which is to teach folks or to have folks recognize, excuse me, when somebody might be in a crisis situation,
Right.
and instead of calling the cops, what you could do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it was a very interesting training, you know what I mean, to watch what some cops have to go through when they respond to some of these calls,
Mhm.
you know, and some of the things that, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. And it's a little bit more complex than that, you know what I mean? So it was a good training to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did they like? What did you learn as far as the way to respond, like how to stay calm under pressure or how to consider things? What?
I think for me, the biggest part was having more empathy with the person that I'm speaking to. Instead of, you know what I'm saying, demanding compliance, like, hey, what did I just say?
Yeah.
Understand that they're going through something that they really can't control. They had to exercise real quick. We put on the headphones, right? And for 40 minutes, I'm listening to some different voices calling me stupid, fat, ugly, all this stuff that I'm always messing stuff up. And it's just going. As I'm trying to fill out job applications, they had me doing all this stuff with these voices in my head.
Wow.
Now, mind you, I know that it's a training exercise. I could turn this off anytime I want to and get up and leave. You know what I mean? Like, but just imagine if you can't turn it off.
That's right.
And them voices are still going on and on and on and on. And I think stuff like that helps me realize, look, man, they are going through something. Give them some time and some space. You know what I mean? And don't rush the situation because you ain't gonna do nothing but escalate it because they are totally not in control.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you, your week?
Man, wasn't bad, bro. Wasn't bad. I think one of the best things this week, man, spending Valentine's Day with my little one, right? We went out and got some high top quality 5-star Applebee's, bro. I highly recommend it. If you ain't never been, bro, that's what you need to do. You dig what I'm saying? Go and get it like that. But it's always good, man, just celebrating and chilling with her, man. And just relaxing, bro. Just relaxing. But outside of that, man, I'm really really excited about today's conversation, man, and like why African American history matter. So not just for today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about in general, and just the things going to be going over just a little bit is just like, man, how do we face different impossible odds but still keep going as far as being resilient. You get what I mean? And just dealing with self-identity issues or those voices, kind of like what you're talking about today, and things that may have been systemically, perpetuated throughout years and even epigenics, y'all. I think it's going to be a super, super dope conversation. What you think, dog?
Yeah, man, I agree. I think and the two gentlemen that we asked to come onto this show, I think that they are the right ones to speak towards it. You know what I mean? They had a podcast, the Yah Mean Podcast, that dedicated their content to the uplifting of the Black community, talking about Black issues and trying to keep Black people informed on what's to come. And that's something that I really respected about these two gentlemen. And that's why, when I approached you about it, like, man, these guys will be pretty good for the show to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Light
I mean,
work.
go ahead.
No, I'm saying no. That's light work. That was easy.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah. So these two guys are their brothers. Their brothers, John and Shontay Young. You know what I mean? You guys are in for it. Well, I'm gonna say in for a treat. Ain't that corny? You guys are in for a treat.
You might as well.
Anyway, audience members, man, y'all engage with this, man. Ask them some questions and whatnot, man. Let's see how far we could take this show. All right, we're going to talk about the pros, cons, and everything in between. So let's get it rocked.
That's it. Y'all give it up for Tay and Jay. Oh, and Jay, right? Tay and Jay?
John, yeah.
John,
there you go. Welcome, fellas. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
Good, man. Feeling good, bro.
Right
Feeling
on.
good, man. Feeling good.
Sir,
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for having us, man. Appreciate y'all for thinking of us, to come on the show and talk about this topic. That's always an important topic 365 days of the year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I like to really appreciate y'all. And that was really good words from her, man. I really appreciate that. Because I know that we don't post as much, but we really try to be really targeted in our message and how we want to have conversations. And we don't want it to be hyper focused on party lines. We want it to be informative as possible.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, Big Herm. Kick it off, bro.
All right. Hey, so I'm going to just start it off with this right here. When we talk about the United States and the issues that Black America has with the United States, right? It's no secret that we come from behind the goalpost, right? But in today's society, it seems like, hey, everything could be cool if we just did this, this, and this. And a lot of folks feel like that's not the case, that we still are missing some things, right? That we still are missing some things to help us advance and get to this, this, and this. If I'm making sense to you guys. I just want to know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna let you take that and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. First off, I want to say, man, I am a lifelong learner, man. I like learning, particularly about Black history, you know what I'm saying, and Black people in general. And as it opposed to your question, one thing, about Black people that is true historically is that we have progressed, right? After 1865, we had 12 years in the sun, right? During that progress, you had Black men who were elected to office. And one of the first things they did was build roads, bridges. They built infrastructure, schools, and housing and such. And then, of course, we had 100-year backlash in Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? And, Kimberly Crenshaw, she has said this one thing about anytime there's Black progress, there is a backlash that lasts, a longer time than the Black progress. But through it all, we've been able to persevere. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just more of us just putting our head down. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we practice, our religion in the way that we practice it. The many religions that we practice in. But I think that, to answer your question, more directly, our progress is always interrupted. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that Black people aren't doing, you know what I'm saying? They'll show this stat where Black people only have $50,000 minimum income, right? Well, that's not because our grandparents didn't buy homes, because they did. That's not because they didn't buy insurance to pass on generational wealth, because they did. That's not because, they didn't invest in their communities, because they did. You know what I'm saying? It was just the wealth was extracted from them. You know what I'm saying? Extracted from us. You know what I'm saying? And I land my plane with saying this right here. I always think of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? Many people think Tulsa. When you think of Tulsa, they think of the race riot. But the race riot is not what destroyed Tulsa. You know what I'm saying? Because many of those people came back. It was the highway that was built over top of Tulsa that destroyed destroyed Tulsa and that put wealth and extracted wealth and put wealth into the community, a couple miles down the road from it. So we look at, where Black people are and why we haven't gotten there. We have to look what has gotten taken from us. You know what I'm saying? And then we have to start there and build it, build it with having insurance, right? Being able to, and something small is having insurance and passing that on to your children, I land my plane there.
Well said.
Man. Oof, boy, that's gonna be hard to follow. Bro. Yeah, Tay answered it really precise. And just the historical context of how Black people have literally built things without the boots or the straps.
Yeah.
And we are the quintessential, the way America looks at the system and expect people to feed the system, we are the real poster children for that system. We have went through the storm. We have went through all the bad policies. We have went through all the bad legislation that target just groups of people. And we have still built community within that. And the one thing that sticks out about just Black people through it all, we find joy and happiness. So I'll keep it simple as that.
No, well said. Well said. No, you know what? It's so crazy, y'all. First of all, shout out to y'all for even trying to answer that question because it's so layered. You get what I mean? It is. And there isn't a right answer, but there's multiple answers. And I think the most important part to even having this conversation is being aware that a conversation needs to be had, right? And so as we stay on that vein a little bit, talking about our history, okay? So history isn't about necessarily what just happened. It's the study of the strategy. And I'm sure that y'all can agree, the community building, the overcoming of adversity, such and so on. But I guess the question is, are the specific historic movements or figures whose strategic approaches, that was there to kind of change, right? Has it served as a blueprint? Do you think that it served as a blueprint for someone trying to transform their lives and community now? If that's true, who would you say would be a good, a good role model?
I would say a good blueprint strategy for is going back to the 1972 National Black Political Convention. During that convention, Black people was actually trying to build a voting bloc, right? And you had many diverse groups of people, and they had many diverse and inclusive thoughts and ideas. They all didn't come from the same, hey, we're all, this one group and this one thing. There was, men, women, liberals, progressives, conservatives, and even some folks who was out there. But they all agreed that, hey, if we are going to have any Black progress, we have to agree on these 10 things. And they came up with 10 things, and a lot of those things they came up with survived into the Congressional Black Caucus and a lot of the things that Congressional Black Caucus believed in. So I think that's the blueprint. Honest, I don't think it's a person. I think it's that movement that happened in 1972.
So I wonder what happened to that then, because that's something that I definitely believe
right.
could be solid now. You know what I mean? That everybody, no matter what your religion, your political Black background affiliation, we all share the same struggle. Like, what happened to that mindset?
I think you had a few nuanced events that end up happening through time where you had, and we talked about this on our podcast before, where you had players like Jerry Falwell, other players that kind of came in and took the religious aspect and then interjected into politics and changed a aspect of how voters perceive particular parties in policies. It's not the only event, but that's just one event that I'm pointing out, that you start to see change that start to happen on how voters reacted in voting in certain elections going forward. And I actually, we still have remnants of that now in a particular part.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll add, I think that what happened, and I'll add, and my brother's correct, you know what I mean, by the time we reach 1980, black people are, moving into this more kumbaya, thing with the religion. But like, I think what happened was they didn't have a long range vision, right? So when that it's called the Gary, Indiana convention, if anybody want to look it up. But they had a 6-month window in order to get this accomplished, right? To get this voting block accomplished. And really, they should have been planning for, instead of 1972, they should have been planning for 1980, right? That should have been the plan. But like, but they really was trying to deal with Nixon and his policies and those things. So which led to 1980, and we're moving away from the because the Gary, Indiana, the ideas, they kept having meetings every year until like 1980, and by 1980 there it's gone away. You know what I'm saying? And yeah.
Oh no, that's disheartening. Go ahead, Big Herm.
So staying with that, right? And speaking about today, in back to what I asked in the beginning, what black folks need, right? Sometimes when you look, you can ask questions like, man, are we tripping? Because this is something I've discussed with you before on your page. When you look at black Americans here, we have more black millionaires and billionaires in the United States, in the country of the United States, than the whole continent of Africa and anywhere else in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that there's opportunity here for black Americans? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we have this wealth, we have it better off here in this country than we have it anywhere else. What's the issue?
Can I take this? So there is a total of, I think it's 1.7 percent of black ownership in businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 1.2 of it is African Americans. That percentage right there, we like, to your question, we have to then start looking at, well, what does the funding mechanisms look like, right? And you got to realize all of these venture capital funds fund other businesses at 98%. So now you're getting into policy and legislation purposely Xing out certain groups. And we've seen that through what is the fund with the black women's fund. I can't remember the name of it. But there was a fund that just went to the courts about 2 years ago, all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they pretty much just got everything stripped from them when they were literally trying to just fund black women from starting businesses. And I think we don't think about how that interacts or how that stops any progress or slows down any progress for groups of people, when we know for a fact that 98% goes through primarily one particular group in the United States. Well, if that's the case, then how can you stop funding on the other side that's only getting 1.2%? But that's what happened in the Supreme Court. And we have to be clear on that they are using power structure to slow down people in this system? That's I hope that answers a little bit of the question.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that Black people need to understand, man, I got this other book. It's called the Myth of Black Capitalism, right?
Okay.
There's this myth that understand, it's just like you question, like, well, there's these millionaires and billionaires that were created, that who are specifically Black, right? But the money that they have doesn't trickle down back
Right.
into Black businesses and Black communities. You know what I'm saying? And so, the question isn't about the millionaires and billionaires that are created. The question is about how do we support the thousandaires, the people who just make $100,000? That's the question, right? And we see today where the extraction of wealth from these families. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're playing high debt for secondary degrees, whether they're paying medical debt, housing right now. Housing is a big deal. You know what I mean? Most people can't even pay. The one thing that people aren't paying attention to is that there's about to be a big transfer of wealth because of the boomer generation who is actually holding on to the wealth. And that's another thing we don't talk about. We don't talk about, yes, there's millionaires and billionaires that's created, but they hold on to wealth. Number one. Number two, they take the wealth outside the country. That includes those Black millionaires and billionaires as well. You know what I mean? One of my favorite pettiest millionaires is 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? Like he takes his money outside. He don't mind if you watch his shows and you buy the music and stuff, but he ain't gonna put the money back. You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, it's this myth of Black capitalism that somehow Black people become wealthy and then the money comes back to the Black communities. And that's never happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll leave it there.
Or even on a large scale, right? Because to your point, yeah, I've heard about the 50s, but then I've also just found out really, and that keeps it on that keeps it kind of low. That keeps it kind of low is Denzel Washington. Okay. For those that don't know, he's been donating, creating institutions, hospital, all types of stuff. You get what I'm saying? But he don't talk about it. You know what I mean? So you got say what now?
I said just one Denzel.
And of course, and then that's one Denzel. But so I get what Herman's saying, but I also get it when, I mean, it's kind of hard to become that, millionaire or even billionaire, but then it's not necessarily, the best place to reinvest. You get what I mean? It just seems as though like the infrastructure is kind of out of line. So, but how about this though? As we're talking about lessons and things that we can learn, what do you think that we can learn from the resilience shown by African Americans throughout our history that can help us to overcome challenges for today, right? Because we are in some serious, unprecedented times. You get what I'm saying? We're seeing some things. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing new under the sun, but it is for us. Okay. So what do you think, we can use from the past? Oh, yes, Samuel. Absolutely right. That's right, Bill.
That's my guy right there, Bill.
But yeah, so what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think we can, what lessons that we can learn from the past as far as resilience and that we can apply today?
I think Huey P. What they put together, you got to realize they gave us the ambulance right in Pittsburgh. Through their movement, we wouldn't even have ambulances in the United States.
Hey, hold on, brother. Look, let's break that down because I don't think individuals realize that. Now, I was just this year old when I found that out. I thought that it was done. Like, I didn't know that we did that. Like, can you just break it down a little bit?
Well, there was a program, and I'm gonna miss on some of the language and the words,
right?
Because it's a lot. This isn't a micro history, right? These are things that progress through years in time. But in Pittsburgh, there was 12 people It started off at 12 people. Um, they were helping poor people in this area of Pittsburgh, but again, it came out from the movement that they were having in Chicago and so forth. So it just was spreading. But through that movement, it also gave us the defibrillator. So you're talking about the ambulance was created, and the defibrillator was also created through Black people who did not have funding, who did not have what you would consider a formal education. And this was all, pre 19, 67, 68. So through all of this progress, when we say, are there things that we can work on and get better? I think we have gotten better. I think right now we're looking at we're looking more economic, right? Because we already have the tools. We created most of the tools. Refrigerator, you can just go down the line. We created a lot of tools that we have a modern society. And when we have that, what we did not get was the economic side from that.
Right.
Yeah.
What you think, bro?
Yeah, I say, something that we can do is that we can learn from the past is about community. You know what I'm saying? Really about what it means to have differing of opinions, but row in the same direction. You know what I mean? There are just way too many of us who think that that rowing in the opposite direction or poking holes in the boat somehow is going to help us. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we learn, one of the things I realized, like researching history, Black people, man, we went from enslavement to freedom,
right,
freedom to protest to politics, but we never went from politics to power. We never did. And that is where we're stuck at. We need to understand power and gain power. And that comes through politics. You know what I'm saying? The Irish understood this. You know what I'm saying? The Germans understood this when they came to this country. You know what I'm saying? They created unions. You know what I mean? They created unions, kept Black people out. You couldn't be a firefighter. You couldn't be a police officer unless you were Irish. You know what I'm saying? And other trades, the unions were created, based on racism, you know what I mean, to keep Black people out, because Black people don't know this, but Black people, including enslaved people, was considered the high skilled labor force. So much so that in Georgia in the late 1700s, they actually passed a law saying slavery is abolished in this state because they didn't want to make Europeans lazy, basically. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's one thing that we can learn today that happened during the civil rights movement or the pre-civil rights movement in the 1800s was the slowly building of power. And we never got there, and so that's where we need to get to the next plateau, next plane.
Wow.
So a couple things on that. I really appreciate you guys' answer with the understanding of power, right? Just want to go into that and ask you guys, what do you think we're missing when it comes to power? You know what I mean? We've held the highest office, you know what I'm saying? We've got Black congressmen, senators, governor, there's Black commissioners, Black police chiefs. There's Black people in so many different areas inside the legislative branch, and also CEOs and everything else, right? So what part of the power do you believe we are missing when we come to Black folks? And then also a caveat, because I thought it was interesting when you said that Black people were seen as the high skilled force. Do you think that has now shifted to the Mexican, our Mexican brothers and sisters that are in the United States?
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say, and my answer is going to be really brief because I think your question had three different parts to it, right?
Mhm.
So there is there's a part that we as African American or Black people really need to understand that we are going to have capitalists in the conversation. So when you're looking at politics and so forth, when you're looking at people like Mayor Adams, right?
Mhm.
Or I can't remember the lady's name in Pennsylvania and so on. There's always going to be these kind of people within the group. We are not going to be perfect or bat 100 on selecting the right people all the time. And we have to understand that. And we have to be clear that we will make mistakes along the way. We will choose the wrong people for our time and journey. And on top of that, we also have to participate. Participate. We cannot continue to have low numbers in Alabama, Louisiana, where we're 2/3 of the population, or we're 1/3 of the population in South Carolina, but yet we have 17% of Black people that show up to an election statewide. We can't have that. We need to start showing up, participating, and I get it. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard when you're coming from a place where you're working low wage jobs and you have a hard time to get off and so forth. The road is never easy,
Hmm.
but it never was meant to be easy.
You know, and look, brothers, and Tay, I want to give this back to you, but shout out to Sat. She just said this, and I think this kind of pokes it a little bit. But is it because we want or compelled to defend our street credibility that constrains us from taking those big steps? Right? I mean, because if you think about it, either I want to be the hood hero, but if I put myself too far out there, you get what I mean? I mean, look what happens historically. So what do you think about that?
Man, I think, and it's something me and my brother talked about one time, man. It was about like, I think the problem that we have, particularly with men over 45, we're not the OGs we're supposed to be. We're not the OGs where we go back and we telling the young folk, hey man, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Instead, we paying attention to 50-year-old crash outs like Tony Yayo and 50. You know what I'm saying? Like the 50-year-old crash outs, Jim Jones, you name them. You know what I'm saying? They get more recognition than just regular, regular everyday, person. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think that yes, there is this element of street cred, because street cred is still tied to I don't want nobody to perceive myself this smart person or something like that, right? You know what I'm saying? It always baffled me why it always baffled me why somebody who's clearly out of the streets, you know what I mean, still talk about the streets. You know what I mean? Like,
been out for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah. You're a millionaire, dog. You live in a gated community.
Yeah, you've been a millionaire longer than you've been in the streets.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. Why you still rapping about the streets? You don't have to rap about the streets, man. You don't have to speak about the streets. You don't have to be connected to it at all. Matter of fact, and the crazy thing is about what's going on right now. People really pay attention. You know what I'm saying? The numbers bear this out. There are more middle class Black people than there are poor Black people, right? Right. But if you pay attention, some of these guys, they don't act like they come from 2-parent households in a nice community. John Morant, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And so I really truly think that the folks, like us four up here, you know what I mean, who, we participate in our community in some sort of way. Like we have to go back being the OGs, and we can't be fence sitters, man. And I think that is a problem too. We have way too many people who are 45, 50 years old, who is supposed to be the teachers at 45, 50 years old, because you should have some knowledge and therefore you should not be fit sitting the fence. You have to pick a side at 45, 50 years old. If you have to sit the fence, that means you don't have enough knowledge, whether that's lived experience or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So you therefore can't teach, and you're supposed to be a teacher at 50 years old. And I think that is what, constrains us and compels and keeps people connected to what they know, which is the streets.
But I think that is the issue, because we're expecting people who cut class.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they never picked up never really picked up a book and really read it through, let alone an article or anything else. And I can criticize my own self for this, right? Because I never really finished a book, but I can tell you how many articles I read. Man, I really realized that I didn't know anything. And now we have people, and especially in the social media age, where now you have access.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and put out your point of view and opinion, and you don't have to know anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And these are our OGs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, man.
We're throwing in these fillers. And because it comes across as being funny or something, people gravitate to it.
It's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
And
Because
I
our
think
OGs, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
no, I was just going to finish up and just say, like, I think that is the thing that we are grappling with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our OGs, man. Our OGs that gave us books, man. Our OGs told us what to read, man. Like we right down the street from a mosque, man. You know what I'm saying? Our OGs is telling us not to be part of the streets. You know what I'm saying?
I think one of the things that was detrimental, but it seemed very cool at the time, is when Rock the Vote happened. You know what I mean? I think that when that happened, it shifted to where now celebrities and Instagram people, all these people that, why are we looking to them for as far as what we need to do politically and how we need to think? You know what I mean? Like, Cardi B is not somebody I need to be rushing to listen to as far as who we need to vote for. You know what I mean? And I think that they have way too much influence on our people, you know what I'm saying, as far as who we need to be listening to, who we need to look up to when it comes to these issues.
But you know what, man? Look, even to your point, you're right. You're absolutely right. But money's is being pushed towards those type of puppets to be in the face. You get what I'm saying? Of course, we don't we shouldn't, right? We shouldn't have to gravitate to a damn Cardi B or Nicki Minaj or anybody like that. But the future is gravitating to it because it's glamour, it's glitz. It got a nice beat. You get what I mean? It's catchy. We're not that. You get what I'm saying?
But it's fed only to black people, though. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, but I wouldn't say it's only, but it's the culture, right? I would say it's the culture. But the thing is I think that we're so part of us, man. We're forgiving, we're communal and everything like that, and then we're easily. I wouldn't say all of us, right? But majority of us in certain situations we're easily played over and over and over again. So it's like they don't have to change it up much. All you gotta do is repackage it. It's the same thing is happening. But anyway, I'll stop on that part. What you was about to say, brother?
Oh no, I was going to say we've always had black celebrities in political movements. We've had Harry Belafonte, we've had Sammy Davis Jr., we've had
that's a little bit different to me. You know what I mean? It ain't really Cardi B and Sexy Red. You know what I mean? Like, but those folks ain't as dumbed down as what we got now. You know what I mean? Like, what we have now is very unintelligent.
But I'll disagree with you because people was calling the music that Sammy Davis Jr. created unintelligent music. They were calling jazz music nigger music. Like they weren't calling it high class. I'm
not talking about what white people call it. I'm talking about how black people look at it. You know what I mean? Like,
right, but not all black people, like you're saying, the problem as my brother was saying is participation rate. We do not participate in the voting. Yes, we might have mayors and the governor and the president, but we are not participating at high rates when it comes to voting.
And why do you think that is?
Young people, it's the young people who are not participating in it. But distractions. We have to, our parents and our grandparents did not have to deal with the distractions of social media. And the young people are distracted. Look at the numbers where where Donald Trump won a big number of the youth vote, mainly because of going where they were, right? On Twitter, on TikTok, on social media. That's really what happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's again, whether it's Cardi B and whoever else, that's not the problem. The problem is the policies that we don't ever get to ever discuss because we're distracted. Because you see Cardi B or whoever else on stage, like, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Tell me the policy. I don't. We get so.
Well, I think this is what sets the confusion, right? Because there's one party who selected 2 celebrities,
right? Exactly.
That were very terrible at policies, right? But we talk about who shows up that speaks from the people's voice who are not politicians. That, like, it's a confusion that's being set that confuse where we need to be along the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Dang.
So that flows into this question right here then. What do you think the biggest challenges facing Black Americans today are? Is it structural, cultural, economic, or is it something else? What is like when you think about the biggest challenge, what is the first thing that pops into your mind?
I'll say for me, the biggest problem is we don't participate in politics at a 70% rate. If we participate in politics, or we just voted in local elections, runoff elections. We only show up during every 4 years.
Right.
We don't vote in big enough numbers. You know what I'm saying? To actually have impact. Barack Obama won the presidency without a big number from the white vote because we voted in such big numbers. Both times, twice. However, in between those times, Black people voted at rate 30-20% in some cases. You know what I'm saying? And then we were like, had our hands out like Barack Obama. Why didn't you help us? Well, you ain't show up in 2010 and 2014. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there are multifaceted issues, and I would say that our issues are infrastructure, banks, schools, hospitals, well-paying jobs. Right now, I would say outside of voting participation, it would be access to those well-paying jobs, and we're seeing what's happening with anybody's paying attention to Black women unemployment rate is still going up. Black men unemployment rate is next. And also the debt, school debt and things of that nature that our kids are being straddled with.
Man, yeah. Look, I think at this point in time, where we should be really focusing on is voting. That is where we need to exercise our power. We can work on everything else later, but until we correct the damages, and when I say damages, this isn't for me just saying it. You just pull up the data. Just go look up the data in labor. Just go look up the data in wealth. Just go look up the data in home ownership. Just go look up the data, and it really spells out that if you are in the middle or lower middle, life has gotten very, very hard for you. And until we sit back and have the power to change the policies to correct it, there's always going to be this, and this is always going to be that we have to fight against. But we have to show up. You can't have better schools if you don't show up to vote. You can't have better pay if you don't show up to vote.
Yeah, I
I was
agree.
wondering when one of y'all was going to say, "Look at the data," because I mean that's what y'all love to tell me all the time. You know,
Hey.
Look at the
I
data.
was wondering when it's coming. I like
Man,
I'm
that's
just
the only
no
thing we
lie.
can agree on.
get out your feelings and look at the data. I like.
Yeah, and I mean, look, y'all know Herm's. He likes to argue anyway, just for the sake of doing it. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. It could be right in his face. Say, I don't care. I don't feel that way. But
Like,
I mean,
I
for
don't
real.
even see the data.
Yeah, it don't matter. He'll say, what matter? What you talking about? All I know,
Man, continue on, man. Come on.
you know the truth. But look, anyway, y'all brothers, look, I was going to ask you this, but I believe y'all hit on it. But I mean, even Herm, man, what do you think, right, with this question? Like, how can our personal success, all right, our personal success honor the struggles of the past generations and help our communities now? Because I mean, you get it in. I know you're doing it in the schools, in the community centers. I'm doing it in the schools right now, and hey, we all doing it, like you said, with this podcast right now. But how do you think? How are y'all really getting it in and showing the future? What it looks like as far as being those those ODs that's necessary versus the ones that's being, I guess, part of the pop culture.
I'll go. So I think I first off, I help my community wherever my community needs me. You know what I'm saying? During the government shutdown, I fixed some food at my job. You know what I'm saying? Took that money and went grocery shopping. You know what I'm saying? Bought like over $300 worth of food or something to fill up a pantry. You know what I'm saying? And other things, you know what I'm saying? Was volunteering at a school that went by the wayside. I mean, you just find out where your community needs you and go there. And lastly, I'll land my plane here. I think one of the things that I've actively done is when it comes to Black excellence, I'm not looking for inventors or millionaires and billionaires. I'm looking at my neighbor. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at my brother, my sister, my family. You know what I'm saying? Where we came from poverty to being poor to middle class in one generation. That's hard to do. You know what I mean? That's hard to do. And we've done it. You know what I'm saying? With the help of our spouses and things of that nature, you know what I mean? And other families. So, I just look at, where I am local, see the Black excellence, celebrate that Black excellence, especially when it comes to Black men. And I'm gonna land here, especially when it comes to Black men, looking my Black men in the eyes and saying, hey man, what's up? How you doing?
You never said that to me.
That's you lie. Lie.
What about you, John? What say you, sir?
Oh man, I totally agree. I'm working on right now, just trying to get in contact with 100 great men of the upstate, and I'm thinking about trying to be involved so I can really talk to the youth, because I think I have a specialized story that I can tell the youth in the position that I am and the struggles that I had to go through to get where I'm at, and how difficult it was and how I still persevered without crashing out, without all of the other things. That were there moments where I technically did crash out. I just didn't get caught. Yeah, there was those moments. But at the end of the day, just trying to talk to the youth and do and also, and then shout out to my partner who is a certified doula right now on the women's side, just trying to focus on women's health, because the maternity rate for Black women is so low because they don't have the information, they don't have the assistance, they don't have the things that they need to be able to cross the path of birth to bring in the new generation.
There we go.
And it's those things, plugging ourselves into those things. Like, don't focus on the politics, focus on places where you can plug yourself in and come with your greatness. Don't come with the thought of an oppressor. Come with the greatness.
There we go.
Ooh, yeah.
John, hey, I hope that you really do that 100 men thing, because I really do think that your story, and when you get to talk to kids and stuff like that, that they could benefit from that. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot going on that, you know what I'm saying, somebody can look at, man, like, damn, I can do that. And it goes along to what I always say, you know, y'all know that I work in the community center, and I'm always talking to these kids about their future and what they want to do, right? And it's not that I try to downplay what other people are in life, but I tell them, it's like, you know, and again, I'm not downplaying nothing because I know people are trying to get it however way they can. But sometimes when I look at less desirable jobs, I call it that. Less desirable jobs when I'm with kids and I'm thinking, I ask a kid like, hey, is that where you want to wind up when you're done with school? You know what I mean? You think that person felt like, you know what I'm saying, this was their lifelong dream is to be there? Or do you think something might have happened which led them to be there? You know what I mean? You 1 or 2 decisions away right now from being there. You know what I mean? I just try to talk to kids about their future and how it needs to look. You know what I mean? That stop thinking that you can't do anything and that you got limitations. You know what I mean? Because you're struggling in the school. You come from a broken background, because these kids are coming from some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you guys know. You guys all know, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all seen it firsthand. They are coming from some crazy stuff, and they feel like, you know, what's outside their front door is all that's available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try, you know, my best with these kids, let them know, hey, you could be a whole bunch of things. You know, I talk to them about, of course, what I know, the military, but I also talk to them about city jobs, trade schools, you know what I'm saying, working at gas and water, all these different things, just trying to put in front of these kids that know that, hey, either I go to college or, you know what I'm saying, I'm in the streets or something like that, or work in the factory. That's all they know, right? You know what I mean? So, and I think that it's important for, like Tay said, we're supposed to be the teachers. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be the teachers and grab these young kids up and let them know, like, hey, what are you planning for your future? Like, you know what I mean? What do you want to be next? Because if we don't do that, the next thing you know, they're breaking into your car and doing all kind of other crazy stuff because nobody took time with them to let them know that there's other things that they can be doing. You know what I mean? So that's how I give back to the community. You know what I'm saying? Other than giving everybody my handsomeness and charm, you know what I mean, and all that type stuff. That's how I give back.
There it is.
That's
going to go a little bit too far. You did. But anyway, brothers, look, I want to thank y'all for being on. I'm gonna give the final word to Herman in a minute. But if there's anything that you would like our audience to know on this day, y'all, from your heart to the audience, what would it be? I'll start with you, Tay. What you got, bro?
Man, just to be proud to be Black, number one. You know what I mean? Learn to be, you know, yeah, man. I'll just say, just be proud to be Black, man, and to know wherever you are today, that's not where, you know, where you have to end up, man. And that's it, man.
Outstanding. What about you, John?
Oh man, but believe in your Blackness. Believe that there's joy in your Blackness. Believe that there's happiness. Believe. That's it.
Wow. Yes. Needed that. Go ahead, final word, homie.
Yeah, they short and powerful with it, ain't it? Hey, so what I want to say is thank you two guys for coming on to the show and, you know, sharing your knowledge and, you know, what you guys have been passionate about since I've known y'all, especially in this social media space. You guys are very targeted and deliberate about what message you guys want to put out. And for that, I've always respected y'all. Even if I disagreed, I always respected the knowledge that y'all put behind your message. You know, there's a lot of people that get out there and just put out stuff and you don't even know why they think that. That's never been the case with you guys. And that's why I've always been able to respect where you guys come off at, even though when y'all disagree with me, you guys are normally wrong. You know what I mean? But it's all good, man. It's all love, man. When you guys get the opportunity and these guys fire it back up, you will be doing yourself a disservice if y'all don't check out the Yah Mean Podcast. because these conversations go on with them, and they have other guests come on and speak about these things that will definitely educate you on what's going on with the Black community, Black culture, education, finance, all that stuff. So much love to you guys. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us, man. And I do keep up and watch you guys.
What do you say?
I do keep up and watch you guys.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. And look, shout out to everybody that's been tuning in. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and then watch this again, y'all. This is about to be available here pretty soon. And look, it's so good. Yo, I'm gonna have to listen to this again. This was really, really hot, for real. I mean, some really, really deep stuff. But again, we appreciate all of y'all. Celebrate Black History Month all year, every day, right? Take care of yourself and each other. Right on. Later.
Yes, sir.